Welcome back to my kitchen. Today we are going to make a cake. This is an all animal-based cake except for the sweetener, which is optional. Um, I personally don't feel like I have this perfected enough, but I've made it 2 or 3 times now, and I tweak it each time just a little bit, but it's great every time. And even those that don't eat proper human diet still liked it. Um, I had recently shown a picture of it in a group that I'm in, and a dear friend of mine, Jen from Homestead How. I'm sure that you've seen a Homestead How's channel, Carrie and Jen. If you haven't, I'll link it up here. Her birthday is next week, and she sweetly asked if I could get the recipe because this will be her first birthday not having a birthday cake. And I just have to fix my camera here real quick. Okay. I know some people are of the mindset that we shouldn't eat or recreate uh, keto or proper human diet foods of that which got us sick. I am not of that mindset. I am not dogmatic. Um, it's not like we eat these treats and cakes and stuff every day. But if making something like this helps my kids stay on the right track and they don't feel bummed out or left out that they can't have a birthday cake, or maybe one of you viewers are just like, well, it's my birthday coming up and you might have a slip. Well, how about you have a safety net with something that's at least a little bit, well, a lot better than having a cupcake from a bakery. So yes, it does take a little bit of work, but I think the results are well worth it, and I hope you do too. Again, this recipe is kind of a work in progress. I have to make notes every time I make it, so we will see. I've done some of the legwork already because we know how to beat egg whites to a stiff peak, and we know how to use a food processor and blend up the other ingredients. So we're going to start at the folding process. I'll tell you everything that I've done. So I took 10 eggs and separated them. The 10 egg yolks went in the food processor, and the 10 egg whites went in my stand mixer. If you don't have a stand mixer, you can use a regular hand mixer with the beaters. It's just going to take a little bit longer, but put on some tunes and you can move while you do it. I do put 1.5 teaspoons of cream of tartar just to help keep the whites stable, and you are going to beat until they are stiff. So we'll set that right here. Now I have a big bowl. So what is in the food processor are 10 egg yolks, 3/4 cup ricotta cheese, 1 package of cream cheese, and you want it softened so it blends. It doesn't have to be like melty. 1/4 cup meat flour. Now hear me out before you go, bleh. Meat flour is just packed with protein. I make my own. This is chicken flour, and that's what I used in the recipe. And let me I don't want to, so so you can see this, I don't know if it's going to pick it up. Let me move the camera. So it's just, okay, I'm sorry. My lighting in here makes it really hard to see, but it's essentially, okay, you can see how fine that is. And it does not taste like chicken. So you're just giving this a little bit of extra protein. I will link how to make the meat flour here. I use this in a lot of recipes. I use this in my breakfast pizza crust if I'm not doing a meat crust and I'm doing more of a bread crust that my kids absolutely love. They beg me for it all the time. They would eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I use it in my cream cheese roll, And I'll link one of those. I've got like 5 different flavors of cream cheese rolls. So I'll link that. Chicken is the easiest meat flour to make, and it's the least expensive meat flour to make. Then just put it in a Ziploc bag or a freezer safe container and keep it in the freezer, and it will keep for a long time. So I have that. I have 3/4 of a cup of allulose. I like to use the allulose because it helps it to brown and it keeps things soft. So it keeps it kind of like melty. So you get that nice cake texture. Now I will warn you, this cake is not going to be light and fluffy. It's kind of a mixture between a store-bought cake and a little bit of a pound cake type texture. It was really good. So if you don't want to do sweetener or you don't like things, it's really not that sweet. Um, but if you're like, nope, sweet, I don't need anything sweet, you can totally leave it out. That is completely optional. You do not have, I know it sounds weird to have a cake without sweetener, but you can have a cake. You don't have to put the sweetener in, okay? 2 tablespoons of gelatin. I like to use the Now beef gelatin. They had a sale on the big tubs, so I got a big tub versus like a 2-pound bag. I really like this. It's protein, and it doesn't have a beef taste to it. If you didn't want to use, I meant to say this earlier, if you didn't want to use the meat flour, you could probably use Hush Paddington. Sorry. You could probably use almond flour. I have not done that personally. If you were to do that, I would probably reduce it a little bit, maybe a tablespoon or two versus the 1/4 cup, just because it has a little bit of a different density, and some people it can be a little bit grainier and things like that. So, and then 2 tablespoons of melted butter. So all of that went into the food processor and I blended it up until it was all smooth and creamy. I will have all of this written down in the video description. So what we're going to do is, so we're going to put this in our big mixing bowl, and then I'm going to put the camera down and we're going to fold the egg whites into the yolk mixture. And we fold it so that we can keep as much air in those egg whites as possible. Also, you can also use stevia glycerite if you have a sensitive stomach and you don't want to use like the allulose, or you can use whatever type of you can use a monk fruit, you can use a stevia, erythritol. Any of those are going to be fine. Allulose is going to be fine. Those do not, per Dr. Ben Bickman, those do not raise insulin. Allulose is a little less sweet than erythritol, so you might have to monkey with the amounts. Stevia glycerite is extremely concentrated, so you could get away with using like a teaspoon of this. So it's not like you have to use I have to get my dog. So it's not like you have to use a powdered sweetener. You can just use the stevia glycerate. All right, so let's finish this. I am a messy, messy baker. I'm a messy cook. But I think that makes everything taste that much better. Now, obviously, if you want to make a smaller cake, you're just going to reduce the ingredients. So the other thing that I meant to mention was if you wanted to make this a different flavor, or you were looking for something, you can use something other than vanilla, which I neglected to say that I put in this. I put 2 teaspoons of vanilla in, but you could use any sort of extract. If you were trying to get a banana flavor, there's banana extract. Just make sure that it's a clean extract that doesn't have extra sugar in it. But there's good caramel extracts from Olive Nation, and there's chocolate extract. There's even coffee extract. But you could have lemon or raspberry flavor, whatever your preference is. All right, so I'm gonna move this and let's get to doing some folding. So you want to just fold this so that you're keeping, I kind of like to do a figure 8. You can do whatever your favorite folding technique is. You just want to try and keep as much air. You don't want to deflate the egg whites. It's just not clean, you know. It wasn't clean yesterday when I did it either. All right, and everything is all mixed together. I kept as much air in the egg whites as possible. Now we're going to put them in our treated pans. I have 2 round pans. Um, if you want to do a square cake and you want to use a big pan like this, and then you're going to cut it in half, or I should say a rectangle cake like um, what's in this picture right here. You'll need to adjust the ingredients because this amount, once it's all said and done, the cake is only like that thick because it's spread out too far. So you would increase to like 14 eggs and then adjust really it's just increasing the eggs. But you could increase like the ricotta cheese as well. So we're going to put this in our pans and then we're going to bake this at 350 for about 25 to 30 minutes until it's completely done. We'll shut the oven off, crack the door, let it cool for about another 10-15 minutes in there, and then pull it out and put it on a cooling rack to let it completely cool before we frost it. So let's fill the pans. So I've lined this with parchment paper and then also sprayed the sides with my avocado spray. I like the chosen avocado spray and I can get it at Costco for a really good price, but other places carry it too. Whatever you do, just make sure it's 100% avocado oil and doesn't have seed oils in it, like canola or anything. Okay that these are filled really full because this is not going to rise and like a traditional cake, and it's not going to stay risen, plus it will fall a little bit, so there will be edges that have to be trimmed off. I'm going to just take a little bit of this and put it on the other one just so it's kind of even. I'm going to pop these in the oven and we'll be back soon. All right, so the cakes are done. I checked them. It took a little bit longer for one of them to get done in the middle. So they were baking for about 35 minutes at 350. Take a look. I've already shut the oven off. But that is what they look like. The top's got a little bit ripped up, but that's okay. It's going to be covered by frosting. So we're going to leave the door cracked, let it cool in there for about 15-20 minutes, and then I'm going to stick it on the counter on some cooling racks, and then we'll frost it. Okay, we are back. The cake is cooled, and because of the way that it rose and then kind of fell in the pan, it kind of mushroomed a little bit. I don't know. It happens to me with regular cakes too. So, what I did was I trimmed off the sides so that there wasn't like any of this wonky stuff. So, we have 2 cakes. I made a cherry flavored filling. What I did for this was just whipped up some, made some homemade whipped cream and then added ricotta cheese and sweetened to taste. And I used cherry extract. So, one thing I wanted to show you is that, and you probably already know this, but there's so many different extracts. So if you wanted to change the flavor of the cake, there's cherry, cinnamon, sorry, they don't show very well, lemon, chocolate, I have mint, raspberry, almond, there's even coconut. So I did cherry because I like cherry. And so you could just use the frosting for the middle part. Another thing that I would have done, but I didn't have any made and it needs to set overnight, is to make chocolate protein pudding. Oh, so good. I'll link my video up here. And you could make a keto pudding or a protein pudding or whatever and use that as the middle. So I have my filling and then I have my frosting. I made a double batch of frosting. So the double batch of frosting was 2 8-ounce bricks of cream cheese, 2 softened, 2 softened sticks of butter, 2 1 1/3 cup sweetener. That's what I used. Adjust the sweetness to your taste. If you don't want sweet, don't do sweet. That's fine. You can just do the butter and the cream cheese and the vanilla extract, and it'll be just fine. I did a blend of powdered allulose and then powdered swerve and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Adjust to your taste or make it a different flavor. Add one of the other extracts. And about 3 tablespoons of heavy whipping cream just to thin it out a little. So that you'll adjust to your liking. If you find that it's not spreading real well, add some more heavy whipping cream in and mix it up. So I will start doing the cake and then probably finish it off camera and then come back on. But of course, doesn't look as pretty as I would like. Nothing ever comes out as pretty as I would like when I'm trying to do a recipe for a video. But it tastes really good. It is very lightly sweetened. So if you're serving this to someone that is used to like store-bought crappy sweet cakes, you may want to add a little more sweetener to the cake itself. That's completely your call. The nice thing about this is it just gives you base and then kind of just play around with the ingredients. So let's take a look. Probably have roll, but I'm sure like it. You might do it, so I like a thick layer of the cream in between, um, because it just gives you a little more to kind of bite into. So, all right. All right. So I am not a master cake. Don't mind my dog. I'm not a master cake decorator. This is nowhere near a perfect cake. But I hope this gives you some sort of base to play with and maybe make your own creation. Um, it's very yummy. My daughter is the cake decorator in the family. I am not, but I did the best that I could. Um, I'm gonna put it in the fridge so that it can the frosting will harden up a little bit. Um, like I thinned it out just a little bit too much with the heavy whipping cream, but spread really nice. So now it just needs to set. So the cake is all set now, and I thought I would cut it and show you what it looks like. Don't mind the big knife. It's just my bread knife, so that's what I. All right. So that is what it looks like. Paddington. Let's take a bite. Very good. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Um, please keep in mind it is not perfected. I am still working on it. I am not a terrific baker. Um, just trying to add a little creativity to our proper human diet. So maybe this will be a nice treat or help keep you on the path. If you like the video, make sure to share it and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks, and we will talk again soon.